Hey there, in this video, I'm going to share with you the root cause for why so many cannot hear God. And most likely you fit in this root cause too, because in the previous video, I studied over 1,721 responses to a survey that I shared with my community, asking them the question, what is your biggest struggle in hearing God? And after diving into all of this and understanding the underlying reason for why we struggle so bad with being able to sense and connect with God in an intimate way, a way that you can constantly talk with Him, hear His voice, and live in that ongoing relationship, there's really just one thing. And before I dive into that one thing and also share what the solution is and the shift for that is, I want you to make sure that you watch the previous video. I'll put a link somewhere in the description just because that video explains the survey answers, the categories that we found, and can help give you specific clarity on what is the symptom. And then you can come here and you can learn about the root. So I'm going to look at my notes here because I want to make sure that I touch on exactly the challenge that we're facing. A really good way to explain the root problem is to just share a story from my own life. So when I was in third or fourth grade, I remember coming home and my mom was having this conversation with a friend. And I don't know what the friend said, but over the phone, she's just like, "Oh, Tyson doesn't like girls." Such an offhanded comment, so random. But in that moment, it landed with me that I shouldn't like girls. And I did. And so this offhanded comment that it's not like my mom's a bad mom. It's not like my parents are evil and waking up in the morning trying to figure out how can I traumatize my child. No, a simple comment that I interpreted as there's something wrong with me because I like girls and my mom said that I don't, as if I shouldn't, as if this isn't a normal thing. Like it's abnormal. I shouldn't like girls. It's also just a silly story, but I want you to know that you can have the best parents in the world. And it's little comments like this that you have no idea have impacted you your entire life. And just as another side note and another example in my own life is I remember my mom telling me like they would get excited or that they would be more cheerful with me getting straight A's. And my mom would say, "Hey, you could get straight A's and that'd be awesome. That'd be great." She knew I was capable. And so I took that to mean that's the way to go. That's the way to live. That's the way to be. I need to get straight A's because if I get straight A's, then my value increases. That without those grades and without those things that they're expecting me to do, if I don't do those things, then my love lessens. The joy of being in a relationship with my parents, it lessens. Thus is born a lifestyle of seeking to fulfill every expectation that my parents have for me. And it's not even their fault because they grew up with conditionally loving parents too. And on it goes. I, even as a self-aware parent, am creating daily experiences where my children are not receiving love from me. They're not receiving unconditional love. They're receiving love when they're nice to each other. They're receiving love when they are doing well at school. They're receiving love when they're doing their chores like I've asked them to do, when they're fulfilling my expectations. You cannot escape a conditionally loving childhood. And that is part of the root. And I want to explain some of the mechanics and the psychology behind this because if you understand this, it can make a world of difference. It will make all the difference for you. I hope that you resonate with that story. And if you do, Put something in the comments to let me know that you're with me, that you've had moments like that, simple comments from a loving parent, someone that cares about you, or even from a teacher or a leader or at church. It's like you just learn these things and you don't even recognize it. You don't even realize how much that impacts you. So what happened to me in my story isn't unique. Like almost every kid goes through some version of this. And I want to explain why. Because once you see kind of the mechanism and what our brains do behind all this, then you'll be able to see it in yourself, and that'll be helpful in part of the repairing of it. Okay. So when you're a child, you're completely dependent on your caregivers, completely, for food, for shelter, for warmth, for survival. And so your little brain has one job, just one job above all others. Keep the people who take care of you close. And most of us grew up in homes where love was at least a little bit conditional. Maybe it was obvious, like a parent who raged and then withdrew, and then who punished you with silence and neglect. Or maybe it was subtle, a tone shift when they're disappointed in you, or the comment that told you the right version of how you should live. Kind of like me. It's like, it's an offhanded comment about how my mom thought I should be. Either way, your child brain picked up on it and it faced a problem it couldn't solve. Because if the person you depend upon for survival, if their love isn't reliable, then you're in danger. And as a kid, you can't leave. You can't just walk out the door and survive on your own. So your brain literally can't afford to believe the truth, which might be, my parents' love is inconsistent. So instead, your brain made a move, and it was both brilliant and devastating at the same time. Your brain said this: it must be me. I must be the problem. Because if I'm the problem, then I can fix it. And if I fix it, they'll love me. And if they love me, I'll survive. So the child takes on the blame to keep the parent safe in their mind. Because a perfect parent who's disappointed in you is something you can work with. But an unreliable parent who might not be there for you, that's not survivable. So you learn before you even have words for it, who I am is not quite right. And love lives on the other side of fixing that not rightness. Love and connection live on the other side of me fulfilling the expectations that my parents have for me in order for me to receive that love. Okay, so sorry I'm not like maintaining eye contact, but I want to make sure that you get this because it's so powerful and needful. And I just write better than I speak sometimes. Here's what I really want you to see, because this is where all three struggles in the survey come from. That equation of who I am is not enough and love has to be earned back. It doesn't stay with your parents. It gets transferred onto God. So now you're sitting down to hear from God. And maybe a thought comes, something gentle and something warm, but instead of receiving it, your system might say, oh, what if that's not God? What if I'm wrong? What if I act on this and it's just me? What if I somehow get this wrong? If I've missed the expectation, I've missed the direction from my parent, from my heavenly Father, and if I mess this up, then disconnection. Then he'll leave, then he'll be gone, then something will happen to separate me from God. I hope that you see that, like the reality of how this translates. Our childhood experience with conditionally loving caregivers is now painted on God, and he becomes a conditionally loving God. At the end of this trail of thought, ultimately, the question becomes, if I get this wrong, then will love leave? And this is the same equation that we had as kids. If I fail, if I do this thing, then is my support gone? And I can't risk that. So these kinds of things are happening behind the scenes of every prayer that we give. And some people, they might pray and they ask for things and they don't receive what they expected to. Now it's no longer just, I'm afraid of fulfilling the expectation, but I'm also angry at God because he doesn't seem to be responding in the way that I want him to. Nothing seems to be happening. The relationship's not growing because I'm talking at him and there's no response. I can't receive it. If you struggle with any aspect of this, or if this resonates at any level, I just highly encourage you to check out the Hearing God Challenge, because we help you walk in a new way, learn the things that block you from being able to receive, so that by the end of 5 days, you're able to hear God. You're able to connect with him in a way that you never have before. And in that experience, you're living a life of more freedom and connection. Before I talked about like the real shift that can occur here, and even like the primary, I guess, phrase and sentence that we're believing that's really causing the heartache and the disconnect, I just want to share with you something I learned recently, and that was this definition of sin. Now, in the Greek, the word for sin is hamartia, and I'll probably mispronounce that, but it means to miss the mark. And a lot of people, when they hear that and think about that, they think, okay, I did the wrong action. I missed the mark on this goal that I was trying to achieve. And it's kind of like an archery term. But one of the ways that we can think about missing the mark is more so missing the mark on who you really are. Like, what is the mark? The mark is understanding that we are children of God. The mark is fully knowing just how much God loves you, and you dwell in him, he in you. There is a union. There's a connection that you cannot break and you cannot separate from. So as long as you miss that mark, if you somehow believe other than that truth, that is sin. That is what we're missing. That is the moment where Jesus is telling the woman caught in adultery, hey, no one's condemning you. I'm not condemning you. My invitation for you is to go and sin no more, for you to not miss the mark on the truth that I am connected with you, you're connected with me, and we cannot be separated. I hope that makes sense, because if you start to look at sin in a new way, in this way that I'm describing, it's just when you have misunderstood or that you have forgotten who you really are. That's what sin is. You've forgotten that you're actually connected. You have believed the lie that you're separate. At any time that you come back to that lie, you're going to feel miserable. But as long as you keep coming back to the truth that God is with you and that he loves you and that he's for your good and you cannot separate from him, then life can become freeing. Then life can become joyful because you're always in relationship. All in all, and I want to make sure that I read this because this one belief sentence is the key. This is the sentence that is at the core of everyone's pain and the struggle of us trying to hear God. God's love can be taken away from me, and who I am is not enough to keep it. Let me say that one more time, because this is the belief at the core of every problem, at least 80 to 90% of all the problems. God's love can be taken away from me, and who I am is not enough to keep it, to receive that love. So if that's the core lie that so many of us are believing, then the shift isn't about learning a new technique. It's not about you learning any kind of formula or steps. And it's not about you trying harder to get this right. The shift is this: God's love was never removed from you, ever. And it will never be removed from you. If you can make that shift, that God is in you and loves you and is constantly sharing his delight in you, then the experience of hearing from God resolves itself. Another way that I might say that is that as long as you believe that you can do something in your life or not do something in your life that would separate you from the love of God, as long as you believe that lie, you will find it hard to connect. Even for me, there are habits. I could call them addictions. There are things that I keep doing that I know I shouldn't do or that I don't want to do because they're not really me. And when I do them and when I get caught in the shame of them, so I might do an action, and just for sake of example, I might eat a sweet at night and I know that that's not for me. And I don't want to live that life of constantly eating sweets and feeling the consequences of those things. But if I keep doing that thing and then I keep beating myself up for doing it, keep shaming myself for something like this, then essentially my own self-judgment is a reflection of the judgment that I feel comes from God. That if I'm disappointed in me, I'm also believing that God's disappointed in me. And in that disappointment, we're separate. In that disappointment, I feel less connected with myself, less connected with God, less connected with other people, and I withdraw. And that disconnect, that's what a lot of people are experiencing. Now, the alternative approach in this example is that the moment that I make the mistake is the moment that I go to God and I tell him, I just ate the chocolate chip cookie. And I know that you are here. I know that you still love me. And I just want to feel that. I just want to know that you're here and that you still care. And in me sharing that truth, and in me just walking in the truth that he won't separate from me, that not only fills me up with love in the moment, but as I keep doing that, I end up choosing to let go of the sin. And really the sin is that I'm not seeing myself in the truth of who I really am. I'm not seeing myself as someone who is above the temptations of the world. Overall, the mistake that we make is that we're believing in the lie that we're separate. When Psalm 139 says, "Where can I flee from your presence? If I make my bed in the depths, you are there." Or Romans 8 is like, "No height, no depth, nothing can separate you from the love of Christ." In closing, I want to share that even in the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis chapter 3, we learn the story of Adam and Eve. They have chosen to eat the fruit, and then the serpent, the enemy, has convinced them that there is something wrong with them because they've done that. The first words out of God's mouth is not "shame on you." It's not, "I can't believe you did that." The first words out of God's mouth is simply, "Where are you? Where are you?" And in that phrase, there is no judgment. There is simply love. There is simply God seeking for a relationship. The question for you is, where are you? Do you want to come into relationship? I'm searching for you. I've always been searching for you. I've constantly been communicating love to you. The radio broadcast has always been playing the music of love. And when you're ready to receive it, you just turn it on. Just allow it in. So if you want to practice with me and other people that want to live a life of listening, want to live a life being loved, want to repair and redeem all those wounds that you experienced from childhood that keep you in shame and that you don't even recognize, but they are stopping you from living an incredible life that is connected to who you really are at your core, your identity, what God has spoken over your life. If you want that, you want to live without fear and shame that stop you. If you want to live without the constantly wondering what other people think about you and being afraid to do the incredible things that you feel called to do, that you know are in your heart that you've always wanted to do. If you want to heal that, repair that, live free, then please come to the Hearing God Challenge. Sign up for the next available time, because in that challenge, you will change. In that challenge, you will experience healing and growth, and you will be able to hear from God. I hope that I can be bold like that. I want to be bold like that. I feel like I can be bold like that because anybody that I've ever met with one-to-one, they've been able to sense and connect with God. It's just my knowledge and trust and confidence that I can help you do that. That's what I've been called to do. I've been called to create these videos and help you connect with God in new ways that you've never been taught. So I hope that helped. Hope that makes sense. And if you haven't watched the other video, go watch the other video and it might make more sense. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.